Hello, Bill Molyneux here with Goober the Traveling Bear for another exciting video of history. Well, Goober and I are in Mathews, Virginia at the Maritime Museum. The Maritime Museum Foundation, established in 1999. We have been told there's a lot of cool stuff in here. Goober is very excited, and this is also the museum of my new hometown here in Port Haywood, Virginia. So let's go inside and see what's going on. Oh my gosh, it's Goober the Traveling Bear, and Mr. Dennis is working today. Hello, Mr. Dennis.
Hello there.
Well, Goober and I decided to stop and visit your wonderful museum. What are your hours here during the summertime?
Well, Fridays and Saturdays 10 to 2.
All right. And the admission charge?
No, well, we ask for donations, but we don't have a fee for admission.
All right. And you want to give me a quick history of your museum before we walk around?
Certainly. Mathews is a small county, but it's overrepresented in the maritime trades. From the early days, 1700s, maybe earlier, we're near the Chesapeake Bay. And so from early days, it was a major shipbuilding area for the wooden boat era, ocean-going ships as well as bay. And then later on, people traveled down to Newport News to build boats, and this area became more of a bay-focused rivers. Every stream, river, and creek probably launched a boat sooner or later. And during World War II, we were very overrepresented in percentage-wise in the number of people who participated, like in the Merchant Marine and the Navy, and etc. And again, for a small county, we have a lot of maritime material, and it just keeps coming in. Our museum is crowded with this stuff.
All right. Well, if you don't mind, I'll go through your museum and make a video, and we'll upload it to YouTube, and maybe more people will know you're here and stop and visit.
Well, that'd be great, and thank you.
Well, Mr. Dennis has Goober and I heading out on our own, and then when we're done, we're going to hit the gift shop, and then we're going to ask Dennis a couple questions about some of the awesome things they have here. We were going to start left to right, but right here in the center of the room, they're having a book sale. And my goodness gracious, they have a lot of books on maritime history. $3 to $5 for hardbacks, and paperbacks are just $1. So Goober and I will be checking those out in a little while. Okay, of course, just like in all my museum videos, I can't hit everything. This is just the snippet. Now, if you remember the museum at Saluda the other day that I did at Middlesex County Museum, they talked a lot about the steamboats, and here they have a lot of cool pictures of steamboats. Okay, well, the Jenny Dare, beautiful wood model. Look at all that rigging. So some of the displays they have here are phenomenal. Here's the Peggy, model built and donated by Edward Diggs. Very nice. And here's the Peggy. Wow. All right, let's continue. A lot of maritime history stuff in this museum. Now that's a sailboat for Goober, but of course he would not come back. Lisa would make sure he didn't have any navigation maps. Here we have I believe this is a lobster trap. Crab pot. Gosh, you can tell I don't know a lot about fishing in the Chesapeake Bay. Now, steamboat ports of the Chesapeake Bay. If you remember with our lecture from Miss Holly, the director, she talked about all the wharfs and how they were wiped out in 1933 from the hurricane. Oysters, fresh oysters, if you remember. Mr. Ted's Museum in Gloucester, he had the largest oyster collection known to man of oyster cans. Very cool. All right. Well, what do we have up here? Jaws, a 10-foot sand tiger shark, 1977. They have a lot of nice wooden boats models that they have in here. Very, very nice. Well, here's a nice display of barrels, kegs for transportation, fire extinguisher, and of course transportation of goods from this area up the Chesapeake to Baltimore. And like all small museums, they have a wealth of information, and hopefully this video will get some of you out here to visit. All right, let's go on to the next room. Wow, here we have the Ginny. The Ginny is a towboat with a boat in tow. I also need to mention Chris of VA Travels. Chris of VA Travels and his wonderful YouTube channel. Chris did a very in-depth video of this museum also. Now this boat looks really neat. I mean, a lot of time and energy goes into making all these boats. There's the Chesapeake. Now we have lighthouses, and I have a bit of a glare. I can't help that, sorry. And if you're into shipbuilding, they even have ships in a bottle here. They have a large collection of research books and a Liberty ship. Okay. Now, when we get done, we're going to ask Mr. Dennis what this building was used for, because it's just one room after another. We'll pause here. Well, as you know, we do a lot on military history, and this ship looks just stunning. I mean, this is like a 54 millimeter scale. I gather it's a destroyer escort. I'm going to take a moment to look over the paperwork they have here and then come back to it. Let me pause here, everyone. All right, I've come back, and a lot of information about this ship is contained in this binder, including the blueprints of how it was built. This is scratched built. It's incredible. And we've done videos on the 40 millimeter guns. So this actually was present at Tokyo Bay in 1945, September 2nd. All right, a lot of military history in this room of maritime military history. So the motor torpedo boat tender USS Mobjack. Sorry about that, everyone. There's a sea bag. There's the battleship Missouri, another wooden model. Now, of course, we could spend a lot of time in here. There's a submarine, the Finback. The USS Mathews. The USS Mathews highlights departed Norfolk, Virginia, 8th of April 1945 for the Pacific. Shuttled military cargo and troops preparing for the assault of Operation Olympic. Operation Olympic was going to be the invasion of Japan. However, the nuclear weapons caused the use of the nuclear weapons caused the Japanese to surrender, and it saved millions of lives on both sides for not having to do the invasion. Now, here we have the Coast Guard ship that was helped during the perfect storm, and this is its actual piece of the USS Zuni, built in 1943, that was removed during the 2010 restoration, used to shoot a line to another ship or ashore. So this is not a cannon to shoot cannonballs or grape shot, but rather a lifeline. Okay, now they have a cool hands-on exhibit. What is this? Mystery solved. This is a buoy, a part of the U.S. Navy mine system. Alright, so the last thing we want to do is have Goober with a hammer checking to see if these are still active. Of course, these are buoys and not the actual mine. Gotta laugh a little bit when you're traveling with Goober the Traveling Bear. So here's a navigation system with maps and charts. Really neat. And more uniforms. Let's zoom that in better. So the maritime amount of history they have in here, there's a lot to read and see to keep history alive. Now we have another room to go to, so I'll pause the camera here and get reorganized. Alright everyone, we are in the next room. The Orzimbo, if I pronounce that correctly, was Mathews County's longest lived ship. 1803. And they have a timeline. And the timeline has it going all the way through. Oh my goodness, my camera just keeps going down and down. 1883. So, carrying cargo, supplies. So, Mathews ships of war. Very cool. In June 29th, 1812, there was a naval action out here. So you could spend quite a bit of time reading and learning about the history of Mathews County at war. Civil War, Revolutionary War, and of course, War of 1812. So here's a Confederate blockade runner, the USS Caroline. Now I'm going to pause the camera and read this, because next week we are going to Kinston, North Carolina to see the CSS news. So let me pause here. Alright, the Confederate blockade runner CSS Caroline. This is the only Confederate blockade runner that was operated by Lewis M. Let's see. And he's the only person from Mathews County. And in February of '65, he was able to get his blockade runner back past Fort Fisher, January 15th. So there is a lot of information here. I am going to pause the camera a little bit, and then we'll go down a paragraph and another. So this blockade runner story is quite interesting. He discreetly evaded the blockade. They returned to Mathews. Lewis M. briefly saw his father and returned at some risk to Richmond. Alexander stayed home. Soon after the surrender of Lee's army, Lewis M. returned to Mathews. Thomas came home later. Very cool. And let's get a close-up of the... Alright, let's pause here. Well, I'm in another room, and the rooms here are endless. Just incredible how much stuff they have. The amount of history in this small museum is very impressive. So, World War II German bridge binoculars. Okay. Well, that is really neat. On loan from Mr. Bob Lewis. The things you can find in small museums is really, it's like a treasure trove of extra history. Okay, and then we have a captain's desk, Captain John E. Lewis. I have a flare pistol on the desk. We're going to pause the camera here. All right, I have World War II German bridge binoculars, and Goober is checking them out. So this is just one of those really neat finds, things you don't see at some museums, and really a neat addition to this visit today, to see an actual set of German bridge binoculars. Well, here we have a Jacob's ladder, and this was used to climb up into a ship. And oh my gosh, it's Goober the Traveling Bear, and he says, please obey all signs and rules when you're in a museum. And oh, he can't read, so do not climb on ladder. Goober apologizes that he was climbing the ladder. Laugh, everyone, life is short with Goober the Traveling Bear. Well, here's another wonderful display case of military models that I was told were recently donated. It looks like the Missouri, maybe, the Arizona, a missile-guided frigate, the of Burke class. We have some fighter jets and a couple huge aircraft carriers. They are massive. And then we have another wonderful ship model. The time and energy it takes to put one of these together is incredible. We made a video at the museum in Yorktown, their Waterman's Museum, where the gentleman there builds these in the back room. So we know how much time it takes to make these models come to life. And many of them are remote control. All right, well, we're going to go and check in with Mr. Dennis again in the gift shop. So let's head that way. And again, their research library here is incredible. Well, when you come to the Mathews Maritime Museum, they ask for you to sign in. And of course, please consider a donation. And they're only asking for a couple dollars. And a lot to see here. I just barely scratched the surface. And another neat thing they have is a very nice gift shop. Now, Mr. Dennis did say they don't take credit cards, so please bring some cash with you. And they sell a lot of neat t-shirts, the Mathews Maritime Foundation, and hats. Now, outside they have some different boats, which we might take a look at. And here's a navigational compass and a few more boats down below. Now they have a Mathews Maritime bumper sticker and note cards. Mr. Dennis, thank you for allowing Goober and I to visit your museum. What would you like to say to my viewers?
Well, I'd like to say that the Mathews Maritime Foundation is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization, and we have a lot of activities besides the museum. You can check us out at the website, Mathews Maritime. But to give you an idea, we have another facility over on Gwynn's Island, where we do repair boats, work on wooden boats for those of us who like traditional things. We have the workboat Peggy, which is 53 feet long. It's going to be 100 years old next year. And we do educational things in the schools, and we also do other programs as well. Anyway, it was a pleasure to have Goober come and visit our museum, and I want to say thank you for coming.
All right, and thank you. And everyone, please visit this museum and stay safe, be kind, be courteous. And I love this area so much, I bought a house less than 6 miles away. Thank you, everyone. Well, I decided to do a little add-on. So much in this museum. These German bridge binoculars were so cool. And outside they have several boat displays. Goober loved the Maritime Museum. And the ship models in here were just phenomenal. And the World War II history that they have here. And also War of 1812. And a lot more. So please consider visiting the Mathews Maritime Museum. Thank you, everyone.